The applause that night sounded unanimous. Flashbulbs, applause, teammates smiling, a city celebrating. Derrick Rose stood at the podium holding the MVP trophy, the youngest player in NBA history to do it, 22 years old. That number alone made headlines, but something else happened that night, quietly. While Chicago celebrated, a debate was already forming, not outside the arena, inside the league. Because awards in the NBA are never just about performance, they're about hierarchy, narrative, power. And Derrick Rose had just disrupted all three. The 2010-2011 season wasn't supposed to end like this, not in the way people predicted. The Miami Heat had assembled a super team. LeBron James was in his prime. Dwight Howard dominated defensively. Kevin Durant was ascending. The league had faces, established faces. Derrick Rose was supposed to be next. Instead, he became now. The Chicago Bulls finished with the best record in the NBA, 62 wins, first in the Eastern Conference, first in the league. That mattered. But MVP debates rarely come down to record alone. They come down to expectation, and Rose shattered it. He averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, carried an offense that didn't feature another All-Star that season. Joakim Noah missed time, Carlos Boozer missed time. The roster shifted in and out, but Chicago kept winning. That's the part that voters leaned on. Rose wasn't just putting up numbers, he was carrying responsibility, night after night. But responsibility and recognition are not always welcomed equally. Because once the award was announced, the questions began almost immediately. Was he really the most valuable player? Wasn't LeBron better individually? Did narrative win over impact? It didn't matter that the voting wasn't close. Rose received 113 out of 121 first-place votes. That's dominance in ballot form. Yet the debate didn't stop. Why? Because MVP isn't just statistical, it's symbolic, and symbolism challenges established order. LeBron James was widely considered the best player in the world. That wasn't in question. But MVP doesn't always go to the best player. It goes to the player who defined the season, and that distinction frustrated people. The league had just watched LeBron James join forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. Expectations shifted instantly. Anything short of dominance felt like underachievement. Meanwhile, Rose wasn't surrounded by stars. He was surrounded by role clarity. Tom Thibodeau's system demanded defensive intensity, discipline, precision. Rose was the offense. Everything flowed through him. The criticism often sounds cleaner in hindsight than it did in real time. Some said he's benefiting from system. Others argued, take LeBron off Miami and see what happens. But that comparison misses context. Value isn't subtraction, it's effect. Chicago's offense was built around Rose's ability to collapse defenses, create space, and absorb pressure late in games. He led the league in clutch scoring that season. He attacked relentlessly. He finished through contact. He created rhythm when possession stalled. But the louder narrative was simpler. LeBron was better. So how could Rose be MVP? That's where perception becomes complicated. Derrick Rose wasn't the loudest personality in the league. He didn't campaign, he didn't posture, he didn't frame his season in grand statements. He played. And when the award was announced, he didn't celebrate like someone vindicated. He looked composed, almost reflective. Because awards don't remove pressure, they multiply it. The youngest MVP isn't just a title, it's a target. The moment he held that trophy, expectations recalibrated instantly. Now every playoff game would be measured against that standard, every performance scrutinized through that lens. That's what critics often overlook. MVP isn't validation, it's responsibility. And at 22 years old, Derrick Rose was now carrying something heavier than scoring averages. He was carrying comparison. Comparison to LeBron James, comparison to past MVPs, comparison to what people believed an MVP should look like. And that's where the debate truly began. Not about numbers, about belief. Did people believe he was the best player in basketball, or did they believe he had the best season? Those are not the same thing, and the league has never been comfortable separating them. As the cameras flashed and the speech ended, the narrative split into two directions. In Chicago, he was the face of resilience. In national conversations, he was the face of controversy. And both realities existed at the same time. That tension, praise and doubt, would shape everything that followed. Because winning MVP doesn't silence critics, it invites them.
The night Derrick Rose won MVP felt celebratory. The days after did not. Because once the applause faded, the comparisons started getting louder. Not whispers, not subtle questions, direct arguments. LeBron James was widely considered the best player in basketball. That wasn't controversial. He had the numbers, the resume, the dominance. And even though Miami finished behind Chicago in the standings, many believed LeBron was still individually superior. So the question became simple. If LeBron is the best player in the world, how is he not the MVP? That's where the debate sharpened. Derrick Rose averaged 25 points and nearly 8 assists. LeBron averaged 26.7 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7 assists on more efficient shooting. Statistically, you could argue either way, depending on what you valued more. But MVP has never been purely statistical. It's contextual. Chicago won 62 games, best record in the league. Miami won 58. That 4-game difference mattered in the voting room, especially considering expectations. Miami had 2 other All-Stars. Chicago had injuries throughout the season and relied heavily on Rose to generate offense. Voters didn't just reward production, they rewarded responsibility. Still, critics pushed back. They argued that LeBron's individual impact was greater, that Rose benefited from Tom Thibodeau's defensive system, that Chicago's identity was built on defense first, not Rose's offense alone. There's a subtle shift in that criticism. It reframes Rose from engine to beneficiary, and that's a powerful narrative move, because if Rose is benefiting from structure, then maybe he isn't the most valuable piece, maybe he's just the most visible one. But that argument ignores how Chicago's offense actually functioned. In late-game situations, the ball didn't go to Thibodeau's system, it went to Derrick Rose. He led the league in fourth-quarter scoring that season. He created off the dribble when spacing collapsed. He absorbed defensive attention that freed shooters. He took difficult shots because someone had to, and he made enough of them. Value isn't always clean. It's often messy and situational. Rose wasn't the most efficient scorer in the league. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the most physically dominant, but he was indispensable. Take Rose off that roster, and the Bulls don't win 62 games. Take LeBron off Miami, and the Heat still have Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. That's not disrespect, it's context. Still, the backlash wasn't entirely about basketball. Part of it was narrative fatigue. LeBron had just joined Miami in one of the most publicized free agency decisions in league history. The super team storyline dominated headlines all season. Expectations were championship or failure. When Chicago quietly climbed to the top of the standings, it disrupted that narrative. Rose became the counterpoint, homegrown, quiet, non-political, focused. Some voters leaned into that contrast, and critics saw it as emotional decision-making. They asked, was this really about value, or was it about sentiment? That's the uncomfortable part of MVP debates. They're never purely objective. They're shaped by season arcs, by media framing, by momentum. And Rose's season had momentum, signature wins, clutch performances, a young star carrying a historic franchise back to relevance. But the debate intensified once the playoffs began, because now the award wasn't theoretical, it was being tested in real time. Miami and Chicago met in the Eastern Conference Finals, MVP versus perceived best player. Narratives collided on the court. If Rose dominated, the award would look validated. If he struggled, critics would feel confirmed. But that reaction confuses timelines. The MVP is a regular season award. Playoff performance does not retroactively change it. Still, perception doesn't operate on technicalities. For many fans, the Eastern Conference Finals felt like a verdict, and that's when the debate solidified into something longer lasting. Rose wasn't just a young MVP, he was a young MVP who had to defend the legitimacy of his award. That's a different kind of pressure, because now every off night felt amplified, every loss became evidence, every comparison resurfaced. At 22 years old, Rose wasn't just competing against opponents, he was competing against expectation and narrative is harder to silence than defenders. The irony is that Rose never publicly engaged in the debate. He didn't campaign for himself. He didn't counter critics. He didn't frame the award as vindication. He treated it as responsibility. But the league didn't move on. The question lingered. Did he deserve it, or did circumstance elevate him? That tension between achievement and doubt is what makes the 2011 MVP still debated today. Not because the numbers were unclear, but because the hierarchy felt disrupted. And whenever hierarchy shifts suddenly, resistance follows.
To understand whether Derrick Rose deserved the 2011 MVP, you have to step outside the noise. Not the headlines, not the playoffs, not the LeBron comparisons, just the regular season. Chicago finished 62-20, best record in the NBA, first in defensive rating, first in the Eastern Conference. That matters more than people admit, because historically, MVP almost always comes from a top 2 seed. In 2011, Rose wasn't just on a contender, he was the primary offensive engine of the best team in basketball. Now look at the numbers. Rose averaged 25.0 points, 7.7 assists, 4.1 rebounds. He shot 44.5% from the field. Not elite efficiency, not dominant in advanced metrics compared to LeBron. But numbers without context can mislead. Chicago's roster that season was not built like Miami's. Carlos Boozer missed 23 games. Joakim Noah missed 34 games. Those weren't minor absences, those were foundational pieces. During stretches when both were out, Rose carried the offense almost entirely. Defensive intensity remained the team's backbone, but scoring, especially late-game scoring, revolved around him. He led the league in fourth-quarter points. That stat alone doesn't win MVP, but it tells you something about responsibility. When possessions mattered most, Chicago didn't run variety. They ran Rose. Now compare that to Miami. LeBron averaged better efficiency. He filled the stat sheet, but he also shared late-game decision-making with Dwayne Wade, another All-NBA caliber player. Value in that scenario becomes complicated. If LeBron sits, Miami still has Wade to create offense. If Rose sits, Chicago's offensive structure collapses. That doesn't mean LeBron wasn't better individually. It means Rose was more irreplaceable within his environment. And that distinction is crucial. MVP is not best player in the league. If it were, Michael Jordan and LeBron would have more than 5 and 4, respectively. It is most valuable within the season's context. Now look at team expectations entering 2010-2011. Miami was expected to dominate. Chicago was expected to compete. There's a difference between meeting expectations and exceeding them. Chicago exceeded them dramatically. Rose's development accelerated faster than predicted. His shot improved, his leadership grew, his control of tempo matured. He wasn't just scoring, he was directing.
and voters responded to that. Out of 121 first-place votes, Rose received 113. That is not a controversial split. That is decisive. It wasn't a close race on ballots. The controversy came later, amplified by playoff outcomes and hindsight analysis. Another overlooked factor, narrative fatigue. LeBron had already won 2 MVPs in Cleveland. A third consecutive MVP while joining a super team would have felt to some voters like rewarding consolidation of power rather than individual elevation. That may not be entirely fair, but awards are influenced by perception. And Rose represented something different, a franchise cornerstone, a city's identity, a young guard carrying a historic team back to relevance. Symbolism isn't measurable, but it influences value discussions. Still, critics point to advanced metrics. LeBron led Rose in PER, in win shares, in true shooting percentage, and those metrics are meaningful. If you define MVP strictly through advanced efficiency and all-around statistical dominance, LeBron has a strong case. If you define MVP through team success, irreplaceability, and season narrative, Rose has a strong case. Both positions can exist without contradiction. That's what makes this debate enduring. It isn't about a robbery, it's about definition. What does most valuable mean? Is it the best player in the world, or the player who shaped the season most dramatically? In 2011, voters chose the second definition, and Rose fit it. He was not the biggest personality in the league. He did not campaign publicly. He did not reshape the sport strategically like LeBron, but he embodied his team's identity. Every late-game possession felt like his responsibility. And Chicago's 62 wins were not incidental. They were structural. Built around defense, yes, but finished through Rose. So the numbers don't end the debate. They refine it. Because once you understand the context, the award doesn't look outrageous. It looks debatable. And debatable is different from undeserved. That nuance is what gets lost in simplified arguments. Rose didn't win MVP because he was unanimously considered the best basketball player alive. He won because in that season, his presence altered outcomes more dramatically within his team's ecosystem than anyone else's. And that's a defensible position. Whether it convinces everyone is another question.
The 2011 MVP debate didn't fade with time. It matured. That's what makes it interesting. Some award controversies disappear because they're obvious mistakes. Others disappear because history settles them. This one never fully did either. And that's because the argument was never about numbers alone. It was about hierarchy. When Derrick Rose won MVP, he disrupted an assumption. The assumption was simple: the best player in the world should win the award. But MVP has never functioned that cleanly. There's a difference between being the best player in the league and having the most valuable season. In 2011, most analysts agreed LeBron James was still the most complete basketball player alive. That didn't change when Rose won MVP. It didn't change after the Eastern Conference Finals. So for some people, the logic remained fixed. If LeBron is the best player, how can someone else be MVP? But that perspective compresses the award into something it was never officially defined as. The MVP is not best player in the world. It is most valuable player of the regular season. That wording matters. Rose's case wasn't about superiority and skill. It was about impact within context. Chicago went from a competitive playoff team to the best record in basketball. They did it without a second All-Star that season. They did it through defense and through Rose's offensive control. And that shift felt meaningful. But here's the complication. The playoffs happened. And in sports, memory doesn't isolate regular season from postseason very well. When Miami defeated Chicago in 5 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, the debate intensified. LeBron advanced. Rose went home. For many fans, that felt like confirmation. But playoffs are not retroactive voting tools. They're separate chapters. Still, perception rarely follows technical definitions, and perception shapes legacy. Over time, Rose's MVP became framed in 2 ways. To Chicago fans, it was validation, a hometown star reaching historic heights at 22 years old, a player carrying a franchise back into relevance. To critics, it was narrative-driven, a year where media fatigue and team success tilted the award away from statistical dominance. Both interpretations continue to exist, and maybe that's the real answer to the question. The debate survives because both sides have legitimate frameworks. If you prioritize advanced efficiency and overall skill dominance, LeBron's argument is strong. If you prioritize team success, irreplaceability, and season arc, Rose's argument is strong. Neither framework is irrational. That's why this isn't remembered as a robbery, it's remembered as a disagreement. And disagreement is healthy for legacy. Because here's what often gets overlooked. The 2011 MVP didn't inflate Derrick Rose artificially. It accelerated expectations. It placed him under a spotlight that demanded growth. It raised the standard for every performance that followed. That pressure matters. He didn't shrink from it. He accepted it quietly. And when injuries later altered the trajectory of his career, the MVP award took on a different emotional meaning. It became proof of what he reached at his peak. Not a mistake, not a fluke. A documented season where he led the best team in basketball and carried responsibility at an age when most stars are still developing. Whether someone personally believes LeBron should have won doesn't erase that. The award happened, the voting wasn't close, and the season was real. So, did Derrick Rose deserve the 2011 MVP? The answer depends on what you believe value means. If value equals the best overall basketball player on earth, then maybe you lean the other direction. If value equals the player whose presence most dramatically shaped his team's success that season, then Rose fits.